Somewhere in your life right now, there is a truth you are not saying. Not because you're afraid, because you're being polite. And that single word, polite, might be quietly ruining more of your relationships than any argument ever could. Think about the last time someone asked you, "Are you okay?" And you said, "Yeah, I'm fine." You weren't fine. You knew you weren't fine. They probably knew too. But something in you, some quiet, automatic reflex, chose the comfortable lie over the honest answer. Not because you're a liar, because you've been trained, since childhood, to believe that comfort is more important than truth. Picture this. A friend shows you something they made. A project, a painting, a plan for their business. It's not good. You know it. Some part of you knows it immediately. But you look at them and you say, "Wow, this is amazing." Why? Because telling the truth feels like an attack. And being kind feels like the opposite of that. So you choose kindness. Except, was it kindness? Or was it avoidance wearing kindness as a costume? Here's the uncomfortable question this video is going to sit with. What if some of the nicest things you say are actually the most dishonest? What if politeness, the thing you were taught makes you a good person, is sometimes the very thing that keeps you from being a real one? Let's slow down and look at what's actually happening in your mind in these moments. From a very young age, you were taught a rule that nobody ever said out loud, but everyone enforced constantly. Don't make people uncomfortable. Say please. Say thank you. Don't interrupt. Don't disagree too strongly. Smile, even if you don't feel like smiling. This rule isn't bad on its own. It's what allows humans to live together without constant friction. But somewhere along the way, that rule quietly mutated. It stopped being, "Don't cause unnecessary harm." It became, "Never cause any discomfort, ever, even when discomfort is the honest, necessary, useful thing." And your brain, which is wired above almost everything else to avoid social rejection, grabbed onto that mutation and ran with it. Because here's the truth about your brain that nobody tells you. To your nervous system, social disapproval feels like danger, actual, physical danger. Thousands of years ago, if the group didn't like you, you could be left behind. Alone. Unprotected. That could mean death. So your brain built a shortcut. Keep everyone comfortable and you'll be safe. That shortcut is still running. Right now, in your head. Every single day. Which means every time you say "I'm fine" instead of the truth. Every time you praise something you don't actually admire. Every time you agree with an opinion you'd only quietly disagree with, just to keep the peace. You're not really being polite. You're running an ancient survival program that has nothing to do with the actual moment you're in. Here's where it gets strange. Politeness was supposed to protect relationships. But toxic politeness, the kind built on avoidance instead of care, quietly destroys them instead. Think about it this way. Every time you swallow the truth to keep someone comfortable, you're making a small trade. You get short-term peace. They get a small, sincere piece of information withheld. One trade like this means nothing. But relationships aren't built from one moment. They're built from thousands of small moments, stacked on top of each other, year after year. And if enough of those moments are quiet, polite lies, the relationship you end up with isn't real anymore. It's a performance. Two people, both being nice to each other, both slowly forgetting what the other one actually thinks. Here's the part that stings a little. The friend who told you, "Wow, this is amazing about your mediocre work." They didn't do it for you. They did it for themselves, to avoid the discomfort of watching your face fall. Toxic politeness often isn't generosity. It's self-protection, dressed up as care for someone else. That's the twist most people never see. We think we're being polite for the other person. Most of the time, we're actually doing it for ourselves, to avoid the awkward silence, to avoid the risk of conflict, to avoid the possibility that they might not like us anymore. Politeness, in these moments, isn't about them at all. It's about protecting our own comfort, while calling it kindness. There's a specific kind of loneliness that comes from this. It's the loneliness of being surrounded by people who only ever tell you what you want to hear. You ask, "Was that a bad idea?" And everyone says no. You ask, "Do you think I made the right call?" And everyone nods. At first, it feels good, safe, supported. But slowly, something strange starts to happen. You stop trusting the praise. You stop trusting the reassurance. Some quiet part of you starts wondering, is anyone ever going to tell me the truth again? And that question is more isolating than any argument could ever be. Because real closeness with another person doesn't come from constant agreement. It comes from knowing that if something were actually wrong, they would tell you. Toxic politeness slowly removes that safety net, while looking, from the outside, exactly like warmth. So what's the alternative? Just say whatever you think, all the time? No, that's not honesty. That's just a different kind of self-focus, mistaking bluntness for courage. The real shift is smaller and much harder than either extreme. It's asking yourself one quiet question before you speak. Am I saying this to protect them? Or to protect myself? If a truth is going to genuinely help someone, and you're withholding it just to avoid an uncomfortable 10 seconds, that's not kindness. That's convenience. But if a truth would only hurt someone and change nothing, silence really can be an act of care. The difference isn't in the words you choose. It's in the honesty of why you're choosing them. Real politeness protects people. Toxic politeness protects your own comfort and lets you call it love. Somewhere, right now, someone is nodding along with a conversation they don't actually agree with. Somewhere, someone is saying, I'm fine for the 10th time this week. Somewhere, a friendship is slowly turning into a performance. One polite sentence at a time. Maybe the kindest thing you'll ever do for someone isn't the thing that makes them comfortable in the moment. It's the thing that lets them trust you completely for the rest of their life. Politeness was never supposed to replace honesty. It was supposed to be the way you deliver it. Somewhere along the way, we forgot that. Maybe it's time we remembered.